Okay, so we are now in 2.5 day 2, which is going to be very similar to 2.5 day 1. So 2.5 day 1 was completing the square when a equals 1. So just a reminder that we're looking at quadratics and we're looking at standard form right now. So quadratics in the form of a times x squared plus b times x plus c. So before we were looking at it and a was 1. So we always just saw x squared and then plus something afterwards, right? Or minus. Now we're going to be looking at when a is greater than 1. So today is when a is greater than 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. These steps here are the exact same as what we did in 2.5 day 1. And so you do not need to write them again since we already have them written in our notes. So if a does not equal 1, divide everything by a. Well, before we were just like, oh, a1 is 1, check, done. Now when we look at our equation here, a is 6. So a is 6 here, so we actually need to take that and we need to divide everything by 6. So I'm going to write it separately like this. You could just write like one big line and say that you're dividing everything by 6. But for visual, I wrote it under each thing to note that we're dividing every single thing by 6. So when we do that, 6 divided by 6 is 1, so we're left with just x squared. And then 12 divided by 6 would be 2, and our x is still there. And then negative 48 divided by 6 would give us negative 8 equals 0 divided by 6 is still 0. So now I've done step 1. Step 2, write the quadratic in the form where we have x squared plus bx plus a blank space equals c. So we're going to add 8 to both sides to get it in x squared plus 2x plus our blank space that we'll fill in the next step, and then 0 plus 8 would just be 8. So then next we're in step 3 where we're going to add b divided by 2 squared to both sides. So b is 2, so we have 2 divided by 2 squared. 2 divided by 2 is just 1, and then square that and it's just 1. So we're going to add a 1 here and we have to add a 1 here. That's to keep our equation equal. Okay, and then step 4 is factor and simplify. So when we factor, a good thing to note is that to shorten it, like a little trick to shorten or shortcut, is that whatever is here inside the parentheses before you square it is going to be right here. So for instance, we could look at, okay, what multiplies to c and adds to b, and we could do the whole process of factoring. Or you can remember the shortcut where it's just x and then this one right here, so a positive 1, so it would be plus 1. And then it would just be squared. So again, this right here is what goes right here. And then on the right side, we just simplify. So 8 plus 1, that's 9. So that's step 4. And then step 5 is solving it. So I want to isolate x. I want to get x by itself. So to do that, I need to get rid of everything else with it. So right now it's being squared. So let's get rid of the squared by taking the square root. When I do that, that gets rid of the squared and I'm left with just x plus 1. And that's equal to the square root of 9, which is plus or minus, and the square root of 9 is 3, because I can do negative 3 times negative 3 and get a positive 9. I can also do 3 times 3 and get a positive 9. So then next, we are still solving for x, so we're going to subtract 1 on both sides. And then that's going to be x equals negative 1 plus or minus 3. And then we have to solve it as if when it was positive, so -1 plus 3, and we also need to solve -1 if it was a -3. So then -1 plus 3 would give us 2, and the other answer would be -1 minus 3, which would be -4. And so these both are our answers. So if you need to pause the video to look at the screen a little bit more, that's more than fine. I'm going to go to the next one. And what I would do is I would write these down, I would pause the video, and then I would try them on my own and then check your work. So I'll first do example 1, and then I'll do example 2, but again, go ahead and pause it and try it on your own first. Okay, so start by dividing everything by 5. Again, we can write it individually, or you can write it like that. And so 5x squared divided by 5 would leave us with 1x squared. Positive 20x divided by 5 would leave us with a positive 4x. Negative 60 divided by 5 would give us a negative 12 equals 0. So that was the step 1. Then we go to step 2. We're rewriting it, so we're going to add 12 to both sides, and we're going to leave a little blank spot where that c value was. So x squared plus 4x plus our blank space equals 0 plus 12 is 12. Then we're going to take our b value, and we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. So 4 divided by 2 would be 2. And then square it would be 4, so we're going to add 4 here and here. Then we factor and simplify, and remember that inside these parentheses, this number right here is going to be this number here. So a positive 2, so we're going to have plus 2. And then 12 plus 4 would be 16. And then we go to the next one, step, which is square rooting both of them. So we're going to square root this side, square root this side. That leaves us with x plus 2 equals square root plus or minus. Square root of 16 is 4. Subtract 2 on both sides. So x equals -2 plus or minus 4. So we would have -2 plus 4, and we would have -2 minus 4. So x equals -2 plus 4 would be positive 2, and x equals -2 minus 4 would be -6. So both of these are those answers. So again, pause the video, try the next one, and then check your work with mine. Okay, so first divide everything by 2. So left with x squared minus 4x plus 2 equals 0. Then we're trying to get it in the form of x squared plus bx plus a blank space equals c on the other side. So we're going to subtract 2 on both sides, so we're left with x squared minus our 4x plus our blank spot. And then 0 minus 2 is -2. So now we take our b value and we divide it by 2, so -4 divided by 2. Then we're going to square it. So now we have -4 divided by 2 would be -2. Square it, and that's 4. So we're going to add 4 here, and we're going to add 4 here. Now we factor this side, and we simplify that side. So we're going to have x minus 2. Again, I got that by looking here. and then negative 2 plus 4 would give us a positive 2. And now we are going to just solve it. So square root both sides. So we have x minus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 2. Now you could put that in a decimal form as well if you wanted. I'm going to leave it in square root form. And I add 2 to both sides, so x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 2. Again, you can put it in decimal form. I'm going to leave it like this. And that is it for 2.5 day 2. So now we're done with the lesson for section 5. And so you should be able to do all the homework. And if you have any questions, email me. Great. Awesome. Have a great day.